Hi there. Hi, I'm Julie. I'm at level 57 on my journey. I like to say it sounds nice, doesn't it? Level 57. I'm at level 57. Yay, I made it. I've been meaning to do this for quite some time now, whether it be a video or doing some writing about my journey, my life journey, and certainly over the last 5 years, which the last 5 years for a lot of us has been challenging one way or another, I think. But for myself, back in 2020, when the world went into fear, everything was shut down. My husband Andrew acquired a rather irritating cough. And it went on for quite some time, to be honest. A typical male, I'm all right, don't need to do anything about it, I'll be fine. But it went on for a little bit too long. But of course, back then in 2020, when the world was shut down, it was hard to get a doctor's appointment, to see a doctor, and potentially even a telephone call. It was very difficult. But eventually he succumbed and he did call the doctor and explain what was what and how long he'd had a cough, etc. And the doctor was like, oh, just take some cough medicine. I'll prescribe you this one. It's a bit stronger. See how you get on. So that's what he done. And I think he did that. It's a bit blurry, but I think he probably did that for about a week or so and it hadn't improved. So he managed to speak to a doctor again and insisted that he had a chest x-ray. I need to get to the bottom of why I'm coughing. So again, time scale is a bit blurry for me, but that's what happened. So he went and had chest x-ray. The diagnosis that followed was totally unexpected. So I think it was about November of 2020. He'd gone out to work that day. He used to work with special needs children, actually, very fulfilling job for him, which he loved. Anyway, he'd gone out on his appointments for that day and he got a call from the doctors, a telephone call from the doctor saying to him, we've had your x-ray results back and I'm sorry to say, but it looks like suspected lung cancer. You don't say that over the phone, surely, to anybody, and whilst he was out working. So I can't imagine how he must have felt, but I have a bit of an idea. It must have been shit, basically. Anyway, I remember that day quite well, as you do. I'd gone to pick my son up. I was on my way to pick my son up from school. I had to drive. It was a bit of a distance. But Andrew, my husband, if he was ever around early enough, he would call me and say, oh, I picked Sam up en route. But I saw him in his van coming home, and he wasn't due home until quite late that day, if memory serves me right. And I said, oh, that's strange, that's Andrew, he hasn't called me. So I called him on my hands-free on my journey. I was like, oh, I've just seen you. You okay? Well, he was very distant with me. I didn't think anything of it at the time. And he just said, oh, I see you when you get home. So, well, okay, that's fine. So anyway, carried on my journey, picked my son up. And when I got back home, Andrew was sat on the sofa. And he ushered me in and said, come and sit down, I've got something to tell you. And then he proceeded to tell me that he'd had the phone call from the doctor and what they'd said. Well, I mean, that C word, you never want to hear that C word, do you? I'm like, no, absolutely no, they must have made a mistake. Couldn't have got that right, surely not. So we had a bit of a chat and I was actually due out that night with the girls, but he insisted that I still went. I just couldn't comprehend what was being said. My husband's got cancer? How the flipping heck did that happen? Well, I remember I had to get some air. I went outside into the garden, actually went into the shed. Maybe it was raining or something at the time. I went into the shed and absolutely sobbed, like, oh my God, this can't be happening. And I rang one of my girlfriends who I was seeing that night. She said, oh, they must have got it wrong. There must be a mistake. I'm sure it's nothing. They're just saying suspected. It might not be. Yeah, you're right. But my mind went in complete overdrive at that point. Anyway, I went out that night. My head wasn't there. I wasn't there. I was there, but I wasn't there. I was somewhere else in my mind. And the rest actually is a bit of a blur as to what initially happened after that night out. But fast track, yeah, then appointments were put in place, etc., etc. And then, yeah, we got confirmation. That must have been December time. And bearing in mind, it was actually going to be our daughter's, well, it was my daughter's 21st on the 13th of December 2020. It was her 21st birthday. Oh my gosh, we can't be telling her and my son at this moment in time. We need to get it finalised, if you like. Anyway, I remember that day. I'll never forget that. Don't forget things like that, do you? It was shit. We had to go to the hospital and we went into a room. And again, if memory serves me right, there was 2 consultants. I remember it was a lady, actually. And told Andrew his fate. I'm ever sorry, Mr. Jackson, but yeah, you've got stage 4 lung cancer. There's no cure. But what we can do for you is to offer you some radiotherapy, palliative radiotherapy, 12 sessions of radiotherapy. I could barely speak, to be honest. Like, oh my God. My world, our world, Andrew's world, was turned upside down that day. Yeah, I'll never forget that. But what followed, it's just unimaginable, you know. And I remember thinking then, holy shit, this is going to be extremely challenging, the most challenging challenge of our lives to date, you know. And I knew at that moment that I needed to pull up my big girl pants, so to speak, and be there. You know, we have to face this together, however that may look, and stay positive, I'm going to leave it there, actually, for now, and I'll continue with the progress and what happened. Yeah, so thank you for listening, and if there's anybody out there or anybody that you know is going through this at the moment, because cancer is rife, and I'm telling you now, there are alternative cures, absolutely 100%, but we found out that a little bit too late. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.